Hello everyone. So this video is in regards to the super full moon in Taurus and what that means for all signs. One of the reasons I'm doing this video is because unpredictable Uranus is tightly conjunct this full moon, and the Scorpio sun is opposing them both. So there are also equally important aspects happening at the same time. We have powerful oppositions, sometimes squares, and we do have trines and sextiles going on as well. Um, we have stationing planets to go direct. Some will be going retrograde. So there is a lot going on. And you may have already been feeling some of this energy, and especially this super full moon. But this energy will last a few days, if not weeks more. Sorry. So in this video, I will first briefly explain the sign of Taurus and Scorpio, a little on the moon, and Uranus, and breakdown of the other dynamics, and finally what that means for each sign. So just to note here is that this is not going to be there is a change coming, because we are already in the midst of change. We have moved from water signs and we're going into fire signs for the most part. So the internal work, our feelings, emotions, conversations have been had, and we will now externalize these changes, some of which have already been externalized. Um, so, in other words, these actions and conversations will mark a before and after in our lives. So, sometime in the future, you will harken back to this day or this month or this week and say, "Ah, yeah, that's when it all began. That's when it all ended," and so forth. Okay. Now, this Taurus super full moon is at 24 degrees, and it is one of the last, the last, one of the last four consecutive supermoons of this year. This Taurus full moon is the ending or a culmination of the new moon in Taurus earlier this year on May 8th that we started on the journey on. At that time, we either began a new opportunity in our Taurus related houses or planted the seeds of what we wished for and started working at it on it. And now it is wrap up time. Okay. Now let's talk a little bit about Uranus, because Uranus is the wild card here. Uranus is tightly conjunct the full moon. It is at 25 degrees. Uranus is the planet of electricity, magnetism, lightning, storms. It rules innovation. It is quite unpredictable. It is very imaginative. It has idiosyncratic or quirky energies, as in the mad scientist, or, excuse me, the unorganized genius. Uranus rules the emotionally unattached genius of the zodiac, Aquarius. And I'm not saying Aquarians don't have feelings. I'm just saying they don't display them much. But they're like hard candy. Once you get past that hard shell, they're all gooey inside. Uh, of course, Uranus abhors any type of structure, um, tradition, like confining this tradition, or any type of confinement for that matter. And it will break free at any cost. And with the most important aspect of Pluto having transformed and leaving Capricorn after 15 long years and just a few days, it will leave. There have been many disruptions with tradition. Disruptions as in transformations, okay? With tradition and stability. So, for example, government. We saw the comeback king of Donald Trump and the election. Uh, it has transformed contractual partnerships, which is inclusive of business partnerships and family relationships, especially with the mother or matriarchy. So, like I said, the transformation has been talked about, and the struggle has been internal for the most part, but now begins the external. Some of us are hesitant, maybe anxious or uneasy about making changes, and that is why Uranus is here. Uranian energy is coming in to force this physical change, to jumpstart from internal to the external, and to break free of any um, stagnant or confining situations. Now, that is the hardest part because it will affect relationships on all levels. Remember, we have the North Node in Aries, which rules independence, and we have the South Node in Libra, which rules all kinds of relationships. Okay, so First off, Taurus is the bull, and it is determined to getting things done that make us feel good. Taurus is a very compassionate sign. It is a fixed sign ruled by Venus. It likes the finer things in life. Um, so, like silk or creamy, silky ice cream. Taurus wants to feel safe, secure, and full, as in a full belly and a full bank account. Uh, Taurus is the money sign. Natally, it is the second house of job, income, and and value system. Uh, and as you know, if you don't know, there is a bronze bull in front of the New York Stock Exchange. Taurus can be generous with its feelings and time, reserving any material things to itself, and will only share those things if it has a substantial return on its investment. Taurus can be quite possessive and stubborn. That would be the negative side, but I'm not going to say too much about the negativity because, like I said, I want to keep this brief. Okay. Now, note um, a little hint here. In your natal chart, look at where your Venus is. And your second house, Taurus rules the second house, like I said. Um, and Venus is what you exude. Uh, the what it is who you attract, okay, and how you are seen by the other or other people. So look at the second house and look at where your Venus is. Those two aspects determine your Taurian traits, okay. Now the moon, of course, rules nurturing Cancer, and Cancer is a family and home oriented sign, but it is quite comfortable in Taurus as well, except for the points of Taurus being an earth sign and being stubborn or too patient. It waits a long time to make a decision. And obviously, it's not a water sign like Cancer. So the emotions are um, as not in depth as much uh, as it would be in Cancer. I mean, I'm not saying that Taurans don't have emotional capacity. They very much do so, but not as flowing as a Cancer would be. Basically, Taurus is empathetic, but finds it hard to, let's say, be overly emotional or go with the flow with emotions. Where Cancer would be comfortable and understand someone who would cry or rage. Taurus would probably be surprised at these feelings. Let me briefly explain Scorpio's role here. So the sun is in Scorpio, opposing this full moon. Scorpio is an intensely emotional sign, and you can see when you look at a Scorpio, even their colors are intense, black or deep purple, like dark brown, shiny brown. I mean, there are translucent ones, but Scorpios lay in wait. What I mean is Scorpios are deep hidden emotions that lay in wait to act upon, and when it is acted upon, it's fast. So if you ever see the animal, the scorpion animal, where if you look at it just exudes danger and intensity, but it stands completely still when it's found out. So it's judging, testing, and reconciling what it's going to do. Then once it acts, like I said, it is swift. If Taurus is possessive and wants to hoard things, Scorpio is excessive, to want to discard things what we don't need. So with Taurus, we take in the mouth, and then Scorpio, we let out the other way. um, Now, why is this going to be tough? This full moon and with Uranus. Well, the obvious part is what I noted above: is that relationships, especially nurturing relationships, your roots and traditions, they are fighting to say, well, you can't throw out the baby with the bathwater. Okay, and that is why we are seeing a lot of sun moon oppositions. We had September's full moon in Pisces opposing the Virgo sun. Pisces is empathy, and Virgo is analytical. October's Libra eclipse, so Libra's relationships, and it opposed um, Aries moon, which is independence. And now this Taurus, which is a material sign or stability, is opposing Scorpio. Scorpio is the intense emotional commitments, and so on and so on. Plus, the moon is, like I said, ruled by Cancer, so nurturing mother. And we had Mars in Cancer, so a lot of family dynamics have been going on. And now Mars is in Leo, and Leo is the father. Leo natally rules the fifth house of love, children, pets, our beloved pets, creativity, and gambling. So you see many cardinal signs here. Cardinal signs are the boss. They are the judge, jury, and somewhat the executioner. And we follow their lead. Okay? Okay, so before I get to the next sign, which will be Virgo, let me just tell you about some aspects that are happening on the same day. So we know the Taurus full supermoon is at 24 degrees, and it is tightly conjunct Uranus at 25 degrees, and the Scorpio sun is opposing it. We also have Venus is in Capricorn, and it is squaring the nodal axes of Aries and Libra. So Aries is independence, and Libra rules all kinds of relationships. The North Node is in Aries, and the South Node is in Libra. Uh, and this can mean like internally, because it's a square, it's internally reconciling between commitments and separation, between relationship and independence. And it is already square Neptune in Pisces, but that is separating. This full moon will trine Pluto, sitting at the critical 29 degrees of Capricorn, and sextile Neptune in Pisces. So we will recognize our newfound power and apply it compassionately. Okay. Um, and then the moon will square Mars in Leo. It is a separating aspect. Um, Again, our emotions, our internal emotions, are just are rubbing up against actions. So we'll go through that. Saturn will station direct in Pisces. It has been retrograde for a few months, 4 or 5 months. So now it will station direct. I just want you to pay attention to the day of before, of, and after, or a couple of days here, because when a planet stations retrograde or direct, it is very powerful, and the veil is lifted. You can get like a picture or a message of what's going on. Mercury in Sagittarius will square Pisces, Saturn in Pisces. That's separating. We have a big one. Mercury in Sagittarius will oppose Jupiter in Gemini, and that is applying. So we'll talk about that opposition in your scope. And Jupiter in Gemini will square Saturn in Pisces. That's also applying. And Mars in Leo, this was the big one that we had, opposes Pluto in Capricorn. And I mentioned this also in your November scopes. I detailed those. It is separating, but it's a powerful one. We're going to feel it for a long time. And then Chiron, the wounded healer, or the maverick, is in Sagittarius. So some kind of hurt, past regret, or what have you in your Sagittarius house. All right, so those are all going on the same day. Yeah, it's like a circus. And I will start now with Virgo. Hi, Virgo. Hope you guys are all doing well. So please grab a glass of wine or a calming tea and relax while I try to break down this wild and crazy full super moon. Okay, so the upcoming full super moon is in the money sign of Taurus. Taurus is your ninth house of long distance travel, foreign lands, foreigners, um, publication, the World Wide Web, and higher education. And it opposes, or this Scorpio sun is opposing it. And Scorpio is your third house of your secret weapon, communication. Virgos are ruled by the higher octave of Mercury. You have a mastery of the written and spoken word. The third house is also covers your neighbors, neighborhood, commuting, communication devices, and cousins and siblings, and social media. Plus, there may be an unexpected or shocking surprise to this ending or fruition or culmination, as we have wild Uranus tightly conjunct the moon. So, again, if you listen to the intro, it gives you a little bit more detail and a backstory, and it also I also go through some of the other planetary aspects that are happening. There's a lot happening in these few days, and As well, if you listen to your sun, moon, and ascendant sign, it'll give you a much more clear picture. Okay. Um, and the reason I did this video for everyone, it's a short video, it's a short scope for each sign, is because of Uranus being involved here. Uranus is the planet of shock, surprise, and electricity. And it sometimes can be a volatile, abrupt situation that happens. And I just wanted you guys to be aware of what's going on. That's why I wanted to do this video for you guys. Okay, so first I would like you to think back to 2018 when Uranus first entered Taurus and started shaking up your ninth house of travel, long distance travel, foreigners, foreign lands, higher education, publication, and the World Wide Web. For some of you, who or where you thought you would find love or romance was either one big surprise or abrupt shift after another since 2018. For this specific Virgo demographic, you have found love from a foreigner or a couple foreigners where you needed to travel to them or they to you, or it was over social media or through a sibling or a cousin. Um, Foreigners could also be people who speak the same language as you but live in a foreign land, okay? Or they're somehow foreign to you, okay? Now, continuing on this Virgo demographic, there has been either a disappointment, glitch or glitches, or a hopeless situation, and most probably as recently as September, and it involved something with law, immigration, or government. All right, but that's your November scope, and if you haven't listened to that, I suggest you listen to it because I go in much more detail with the other planetary aspects too. Okay, but if you remember what I said, I think it was October scope or maybe November. This situation, I think it was October scope. So if you haven't listened to that one, listen to October too. So this situation will be anew or somewhat revived in the spring of next year. And most dependent on how this full supermoon and Pluto entering Aquarius a few days later on the 19th treats you. Now, I say how it treats you because there is the unexpected intervention regarding this ending or culmination, and the opposition is riddled with either communication issues, commuting, or siblings for some reason with you are getting in the way, or maybe they are trying to help you. There's also children involved here. And there's some that are, these siblings or children might be against this ending or the reason for the ending. Okay. In general, all Virgos have been having ridiculous flip-floppers regarding commitment ever since Neptune entered Pisces, which is your seventh house of partners. And again, that ends in spring next year. Hooray! I think I mentioned this in every video for you guys because I know you guys have gone through a lot with partnerships, so I know you're really anticipating this end here. Now, another clue with this Taurus full supermoon is this year's May 8th new moon in Taurus is related. So whatever opportunity you had or planted the seeds of back then, we now see the wrap up of it with this ending or fruition on this full moon. And full moon energies, especially a super full moon, it's not just the day of. You might have already been feeling it, and it extends way past just the day of, which is the 15th. Yeah, the energy can vibrate. The full force of it can be up to 3 days after. Some is a week or more. All right. So now for other Virgos, this ending or fruition also has a theme of what has been happening with travel, higher education, and foreigners since 2018. It doesn't necessarily have to be since the new moon in Taurus back in May 18th. It might be like an ongoing thing. But more specifically, what started back on May 8th's new moon. And for others, you may be the student, or your child could be the student, and this is a winding down or an accomplishment of some kind. Because with Pluto having transformed your fifth house of love, romance, children, and creativity, along with pets, you are a powerhouse regarding um, children and the next generation, the influence you have and you wield. Um, Now, yeah, winding down on a accomplishment of some kind, but again, with some kind of surprise or unexpected is in the mix because of Uranus. It may simply be that you thought you would have to do another semester, for example, and you find out that you have more than enough credits, or maybe you thought it was over, but your advisor tells you you need another class or two. That surprise could be mundane like that. For this Taurus Super Full Moon scope, I am not really delving into too many speculations because there are too many unknown variables. Um, Such as Scorpio is inherently secretive and rules the house of secrets and taboos natally, and is your third house of communication. Leo is in Mars, and that is your 12th house of secrets and behind the scenes, the past. And Mercury, your ruler, is all over the place with reversals, cancellations, and renegotiations in Sagittarius, which is your fourth house of home and family. Not to mention a full moon, contrary to the belief that it illuminates, actually really conceals something. There is something hidden from you on the full moon. Um, and the moon's rule emotions. Emotions are hidden. The moon isn't at night, so there is something being hidden. Plus, crazy Uranus always does something no one is expecting. This might refrain from over speculating, okay? But because there is so much happening that day and this month in general, I wanted to do this video, like I said, for you guys, just so you know of the energy. And it's not just this one day, so that you can get an understanding regarding any unexpected feelings that you may have or that others may come at you. But remember, everything happens for a reason. What that reason is, of course, only you would know because everyone's chart is different. But what I am doing is giving you a theme of what may happen or some aspects of what's going on. So, just to recap, you do have an ending or a fruition of your past efforts regarding either long distance travel, a foreigner, foreign lands, higher education, publication, and the World Wide Web, which is either caused because of your third house of communications, commuting siblings is not allowing it to go through, or your third house does not want an ending regarding your ninth house of travel and education. And finally, Uranus, the planet of shock and surprise, is making this ending or culmination sensational in some way. What Uranus is trying to do here for you, Virgo, is well, first, we are not these scopes, especially these last scopes, especially this one. I'm not telling you of a change that will be. We are in the midst of change. The change has been internal thus far, but now it's time to externalize these changes. And some people find it really, really difficult to change. I being one of them. And some fixed signs especially find it hard to change. So Uranus, God in his wisdom, the cosmos in his wisdom, is putting in Uranus in this mix so that it can force change, whether it's abrupt or not. Um, because remember, Uranus cannot and will not abide by rules, nor can it tolerate containment. And maybe this ending is more to your benefit, as you will be free of something here, okay? And before something else can start, something has to end. So just going over some of the things that are happening on the same day. I'll just touch on just a couple of things. So we have Venus is in Capricorn, and it is squaring the nodal axes of Aries and Libra. Aries is independence. Libra is all types of relationships, and squares are more internal reconciliations. And because it's Aries and Libra, so it's between commitments and separation. between relationships and independence. And it is already squaring your partnership house, but that's a separating square. Now, this full moon will trine Pluto, which is sitting at the critical 29 degrees of Capricorn, and sextiles Neptune in Pisces. So we will recognize our newfound power in our Capricorn house, and we will apply it compassionately. That's Pisces. Another big one is the moon squaring Mars in Leo. It is a separating factor, but again, it's an internal struggle. Okay, so Leo is again your 12th house, your 12th hidden house, and the moon is in Taurus, so your 9th house. And I want you to also pay attention to these few days as Saturn will station direct in Pisces. Whenever as planet stations, direct or retrograde, it's a powerful event. So a veil is lifted. You get a picture or a message that gives you, clues about what's going on. Now, Pisces is your 7th house of partners, and the past 4 or 5 months, Saturn has been retrograde in Pisces. So Saturn, the planet of restrictions and boundaries, has not really given you a hard time here. And maybe partners have sort of taken over, or you might have been, your boundaries might have been down with partners. So Saturn is waking up now, and it is coming back to help you put up those boundaries once again and get you on solid footing, pull you back on shore before you get swept away too far. And then there's another big opposition. It's Mercury in Sagittarius. It is opposing Jupiter in Gemini. And if we look for you, Gemini is your 10th house of career and status, reputation, and authority figures. And Sagittarius is your 4th house of home and family. So this opposition, so there's disagreements between so if there's a child involved, or if there's a child involved, this child may be moving out, maybe, or going away to school or something. But it's either it's been rushed, or you just it's not sitting well with you for some reason. And there's tense conversation about this. And this tense conversation is not internal only, because it's an opposition. So it's external. So it's a back and forth. And it'll play out until Ceres helps with a compromise. And Ceres is coming in. It'll be active the first week of December. Now, the next other thing is, we had this Mars in Leo, again, your 12th hidden house, is opposing Pluto in Capricorn. I already talked about this in your November scope, so if you want to listen to that, but it is separating. But this is so powerful that we will be feeling this for a longer time than just a few days or a week or two. We'll feel it. And again, it is something about a lover or a child and your hidden house. So your psyche, the past, confinement. Like I said, it looks like either a romance or a lover is at a distance or away from you, or a child has moved out or is separated somehow, and you're sort of, I don't want to say suffering, but you're sort of alone, and you have all this pent up energy, and it can be tough, very tough. But here, once Pluto leaves Capricorn in a few days on the 19th, and as soon as it enters Aquarius, this heavy burden, okay, that you're feeling with lovers, romance, children, or even pets, okay, or if you've hit like a creativity block, this will lift instantaneously. As soon as Pluto enters Aquarius, you'll have this uplifting feeling, even if we're in the dead of winter and the days are growing shorter. You will have some kind of reprieve, of like an exhale. Okay, and again, I'm not saying that uh, this Mars Leo opposition is going away also instantaneously, because like I said, we'll feel it for a little bit longer. But Ceres is coming in the first week of December. There's some kind of compromise and agreement, and by Christmas there's another, and by New Year. But I'll leave that for the December scope. Like I said, I wanted to keep this short, but I know what you guys are going through, especially Virgo. So that's why I try to take a little bit longer with Virgos. And then the last aspect is Chiron, the wounded healer. The Maverick is in Sagittarius. So again, it is your fourth house of home and family. And there is some kind of a wound, Virgo, here. And the past keeps popping up on your chart, and a hurt. Yeah, it's and it's for some of you. It's not for all of you, but there's some kind of hurt, some kind of wound, something, and you're alone in this. That's the bad part. But this is all going to come around. I know I keep saying that for you guys, but the ones that wait the longest, cry the hardest, hurt the most, are rewarded even more so. So chin up, Virgo. There's, like I said, the 19th, there's something really uplifting. And then the first week, we have actions, Christmas and New Year's. And look for the December scope. Okay. And if you have any comments or questions, do list down your thoughts, and I will be more than happy to answer them. Oh, and by the way, half of you who listen are not subscribed. It's free. If you feel this has been informative or even entertaining, consider subscribing, or at least hit the like button. It really helps me out a lot, guys. All right. Okay, Virgos, you take care of yourselves, and I will talk to you in December, if not earlier. Hi, Libra. I hope you guys are doing well and enjoying the wild ride we're on during the seismic shifts that are happening to all of us and all around us. Okay, so please do listen to the intro. It gives you a backstory. It tells you about the energies and all that. So the upcoming full supermoon is for you, fittingly, in the money sign of Taurus, which is your eighth house of joint finances, the mortgage, taxes, credit, or government benefits. And the Scorpio sun, which is your second house of money and values and jobs, is opposing it. Plus, there may be an unexpected or shocking surprise to this ending with a full supermoon, or a culmination, as we have wild Uranus tightly conjunct the Taurus moon. The full supermoon in Taurus is at 24 degrees, and Uranus is at 25 degrees. Libra, maybe call up your financial advisor ASAP. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But there's a lot of money here going on. First, I would like you to think back to 2018, when Uranus first entered Taurus and started shaking up your eighth house of intimacy, joint finances, secrets, and all that other stuff that I mentioned, credit, taxes, and so on. In other words, money and values that comes to you, money that comes to you in lump sums, or the way people value you, as opposed to your second house of money, where it is your hard work or the way you value yourself. Okay, so what you thought you should be in regards of these things, Uranus has continually stepped in and abruptly cranked you towards a different direction. Okay, and it has been, at times it could have been a volatile realization, or a shocking surprise. This is another shocking shift of an ending, or culmination, regarding your joint finance house. That is either ending because of your own second house of job, income, and value system, or your second house does not want an ending with joint finances. Whatever it is and whatever the surprise is, Uranus is triggering this as Uranus values freedom over any disruption or confinement. Uranus does not do rules or um, uh, uh, steady. It's just a disruptor. Um, and it does that because some people find it really hard to change. And God in its wisdom, and his wisdom is bringing in this Uranian energy to free you of this um, joint finance situation. Another clue that may help you identify what this ending may be about um, uh, is it's related to May 8th of this year. There was a new moon in Taurus. So, whatever opportunity you had or planted the seeds of then and have worked on, we now see the wrap up of it or the culmination of it. Further to this clue, listen to the intro, like I said, as it gives you a background story, and do listen to your sun, moon, and ascendant signs. It will give you a much, much more clear picture. Now, I tried to speculate on many different scenarios. Um, this may play out with a couple of signs, but I've decided to just give you what else is happening the same day. Just give you like what's happening with the super full moon and Scorpio and the other energies. There's oppositions and squares, and maybe just narrow it down to one or two speculations because speculating too much may just confuse you even more. So the other things going on is um, the moon will square Mars in Leo. Okay, let me pull up the other chart. Sorry, I've got like um, several screens I'm looking at. Just there we go. Okay, so the Taurus moon will square Mars in Leo, and that has already happened, and it's separating. Um, and Leo is your 11th house of groups, friends, associations, or a friend. And like I said, Taurus is your 8th house. And squares are more internal conflict, um, whereas oppositions are more external. Oppositions is with the other. Uh, Squares can be with other people, but it's more, you feel it more internally. Okay. Now, I also want you to pay attention to these few days because Saturn is stationing direct in Pisces. Um, and whenever a planet stations retrograde or direct, it is very powerful and it does lift the veil where you get a picture or a message of what's going on. Uh, Pisces is your 6th house of health, habits, routine, scheduling, uh, gossip. Also covers pets, and it is the house of chaos. So for the past 4 or 5 months, you have had a reprieve here as Saturn has been going retrograde and examining under the hood. So maybe your schedule and your routine has not been as hectic, or it could have been um, boundaries could have been lowered where maybe you took on too much on your schedule and it might have affected your health. So Saturn going direct here is coming in and helping you put up those boundaries up once again. It's pulling you back to shore so that you don't just drift away in the waves of these uh, ocean of scheduling and chaos and so forth. Um, the moon and Uranus in Taurus will sextile Neptune in Pisces. So that's a good aspect. You will feel good about your schedule once Saturn turns direct. You'll get it stamped down. And then we have the moon and Uranus in Taurus will trine Pluto, which is very good. This is like your newfound power regarding your home and family that you will have. You will apply this newfound power through compassion because we have Pisces here. Now, Mercury is in Sagittarius and it is squaring Saturn. Sagittarius for you is your 3rd house of communication, commuting, communication devices, social media, siblings, and cousins. So there is a lot of talk here, a lot of conversations and deal makings. And again, square is an internal conflict. So the messages that you are getting or you are giving out, again, is in conflict with some kind of schedule or routine. But it is a separating aspect, so not too much of a worry. Now, this is a sort of a heavy duty one. It's Mercury again in Sagittarius. Your third house of communication is opposing Jupiter in Gemini. And Gemini is your ninth house of long distance travel, higher education, foreigners, publishing in the World Wide Web. So, again, there's conversations, agreements, disagreements, and it is sometimes out of context regarding traveling and long distance. Maybe you're trying to set up a travel, or maybe you're trying to set up a school schedule. And Mercury is already in shadow retrograde. So, whatever you're talking about right now, you really don't have the full information. And it's going to go retrograde on the 25th. So, something might be reversed or canceled. So, just have plan B, C, and D. And I go into detail in your November scope here. So I'm not going to go too much into it. I just want you to be aware of the energies that is going on. Venus in Capricorn will square Neptune in Pisces. Again, internal conflict between home and family and your scheduling and routine. Jupiter in Gemini will square Saturn in Pisces. Gemini is your ninth house of travel. Again, it's here something about traveling, foreigners, or higher education, and scheduling and routine. Now, we had the Mars in Leo oppose Pluto in Capricorn, and this is huge. And I went through it in detail in your November scope. But Leo is your 11th house of friends, groups and associations, and it opposes your 4th house of home and family. So whatever's going on in your home and family, your friends are opposing it. And then finally, we have Chiron, the wounded healer. He's a maverick, and he is in Sagittarius. Okay, so Sagittarius is your third house of communication and commuting, and there is some kind of a hurt or a regret or something in the past that feels. It's not like an anger hurt. It's like more of a sad hurt. So whatever it may be, communication that you have received or you communicated is hurting you, and it's bringing up the past. But that's what Chiron does. It comes in and it lets you know that this wound is unhealable, but the way to go about it is talking it out or teaching about this hurt that gives you reprieve. So, okay, going to scenarios and speculation. So one scenario may be that there are Libras who are going through a separation or a divorce, and naturally separating joint finances, a mortgage, or negotiating child support or children's education, and the responsibilities are being discussed and being separated. Okay, so that's the Taurus full moon. It might be that ending that's discussed. What the surprise is here, I don't know, because nobody knows. It's Uranus. But if you, like I said, think back to 2018 till now, and the surprises you've had, it can have the same theme. Or it could be that time of year where Libras who are partnered and are solid as a rock are just scrunching numbers for upcoming like taxes, or figuring out financial aid for the kids or for yourselves. Or there may be Libras being surprised with a pregnancy and start preparing for one of the partner's finances to be disrupted. Same goes for Libra couples taking it to the next step of engagement or marriage. Personal incomes could be discussed to be joint finances, and the Uranian surprise may be that you find out your partner's debt needs attention or yours. And you start working on that. So I'll stop the speculation here, as it could be a myriad of scenarios. So just to recap, you do have an ending or a culmination of your past efforts regarding joint finances, which is either caused because of your second house of money and values, or your second house of money and values does not want an ending regarding joint finances because maybe you don't make enough. or whatever. And it is an either or situation because it's an opposition. Okay. However, the ultimate culprit and trigger is Uranus, the planet of shock and surprise, which is making this ending or culmination actually surprisingly liberating in some way. I mean, it might not feel it at the time, but um, see, we're not preparing for change. We're actually in the midst of change. So all these like powerful energies that we're experiencing now, we've gone through these changes internally thus far, with the September's super full moon, with Pisces and Virgo, with October, with the eclipse in your sign and Aries, and with these powerful oppositions. So those were internal. Now is the external. And some people just can't make that change, or it feels really precarious or heavy. So Uranus comes in and forces that change. Remember, Uranus cannot and will not abide by rules, nor can it tolerate any sort of containment. And maybe this ending is more to your benefit, as you will be free of something regarding joint finances and intimacy. It'll free you up in the long run. So what I said about, sorry, we're externalizing change. These days, these weeks, this month, um, will be the before and after. So in the future, you will be like, oh yeah, it was in November that this happened. And it's like a like a significant date in our lives. Um, And again, like I said, if you haven't listened to your November scope, listen to that, because these aspects I go into more detail. But I just wanted to do this short scope for you guys regarding this full moon, because we have crazy Uranus in the mix, and we don't know what it's going to do. But just so you're aware, when it does happen, you'll be like, oh yeah, it's Uranus. And also, um, full moons conceal more than they reveal. It's against popular belief that full moons illuminate things. No, they don't. There's something hidden from you during a full moon. And because it is at night, emotions are hidden. Um, and so, what I'm trying to say is try not to make hardline decisions during a full moon energy, let alone this is a super full moon. Okay? So, try not to make hardline decisions regarding your eighth house of joint finances. Give yourself and others time, especially if there's children involved. Um, you know, just maybe a few days, a week, just so the dust settles, so you're less confused by energies, and you have. And besides, we have Mercury that's already in shadow retrograde, so there's other information coming in later in the month. All right. Anyway, I wanted to keep this really short and sweet, but I really wanted to do this video for you guys. So hopefully I have given you some kind of enlightenment regarding this full moon ending, or fruition, or at least entertained you. But yeah, at least you have some information to work with. And by the way, half of you who listen are not subscribed. So if you did find this entertaining or informative, uh, it's free to subscribe, or at least smash the like button. It really does help me out, guys. All right, I will talk to you in December, and best of luck, Libra. Hi, Scorpio. Scorpio, your image, physical appearance, the way people see you, and maybe also your online profile, is being opposed to some surprising ending or culmination from or in regards to a partner or partners. Either you are abruptly ending this partnership because you are wanting to display a different profile or how you are seen, or a partner is abruptly ending it with you because of how you are physically changing, um, or regarding your profile. Excuse me. Or it can be a culmination, a fruition of past efforts. Now, this could simply be you get pregnant and you decide to take this partnership to the next level. Um, and pregnancy is physically changing you, or you will be seen as being off the market if you are getting engaged or married, or you may be ending the long hair look and cutting your hair or growing your beard, but your partner is absolutely not having this. Okay, uh, so this is in regards to the super full moon in Taurus at 24 degrees, which is tightly conjunct Uranus at 25 degrees, and the Scorpio sun is opposing it. Well, let us think back to 2018 when Uranus first entered Taurus and started shaking up your seventh house of partners, whether it was personal, business, and open enemies also falls in the seventh house. Excuse me. So prior to 2018, your partners may have been, let's say, uncomplicated and predictable, maybe even bordering on the boring. But once Uranus entered Taurus around the end of April 2018, it has been surprise after shock after eye opening shifts with your partners. And of course, it could have been you doing the surprising, as the seventh house is famously called the house of mirrors, where partners reflect back to us how we feel inside. Okay? This may be another surprising ending or next level partnership fruition that is caused or opposed by a change regarding your physical appearance or profile, or vice versa. And whatever the surprise is, Uranus is triggering this ending or fruition. Why? Well, because Uranus values freedom over any confinement, even at the risk of jolting disruptions. The opposition can be summed up as Uranus wants to dump the baby out with the bathwater, and obviously your first house is opposing that. Does not want everything to be thrown out. Because you are sensible and patient, Scorpio, but you are a water sign and can go with the flow too. So I don't really see a problem for you here. You may be welcoming this because, like I said, the ending is a culmination to something else. Another clue that may help you identify what this ending may be related to is earlier this year, May 8th, we had a new moon in Taurus. So whatever opportunity then, or the seeds you planted then and have been working on, we are now seeing the ending of that, the fruition of that. Further to this clue, listen to the intro as I have given you guys a backstory, and it explains the Uranian energy, Taurus, and other things that are going on this day. And do listen to your sun, moon, and your ascendant sign. It'll give you a much, much more clear picture. And if you haven't listened to your November scope, I go in more detail with the other aspects and give you an overarching theme. I just chose to do this short scope because it is a super full moon, and Uranus is really, really unpredictable. And I just wanted you guys to be aware that if there is something abrupt or shocking or jolting, that you would recognize it is Uranus trying to break you free of something that you may not appreciate now, but you will in the future. So I just wanted to do this short video for you guys. Now, there are a couple of squares and oppositions happening on the same day that are contributing factors. And not to confuse you any further than necessary, because these tense aspects are inclusive of a money, a lover or children, scheduling, and your career status. All I see here, Scorpio, really is growing pains, because you have decided to take your career to the next level, and you're aggressively pursuing that with a change of the way you communicate, or where you want to live, or it's maybe social media. And your focus is also on your home, family, and your value system, as you understand that would be the foundation you need to lean on, because you are ready to externalize what has been cooking, or what you have been reconciling your emotions inside of yourself, what you have been planning behind the scenes. Maybe you would like I said, listening to your, I don't know if I mentioned that, but to your October and November scopes, if you haven't, because the activities and plans that have been occurring the past few weeks is the natural next step to this ending or culmination with this partner or partners. This is not like, oh, we're going to begin this change. The change has already occurred internally for us. we are now externalizing this change. That's why we've got this Uranian jolting energy. It's pushing us um, to externalize the change. So here's the disclaimer: full moons, let alone super full moons, which this Taurus moon is, conceal more than they reveal. Against popular belief, a lot of astrologers or people will say, "Oh, the full moon illuminates." Yes, it illuminates, but it also conceals something. Something is hidden from you on a full moon. Okay, emotions are ruled by the moon. Emotions are hidden. The moon is at night. There is something behind the scenes that you're not aware of, or the other is not aware of. I mean, you might know, but you're keeping it from somebody else. And because we have Mars racing through Leo, and will be retrograding all the way back into Cancer before going forward over these two signs again. And we have Mercury retrograde coming up in Sagittarius on the 25th. And as of today, it's already in retrograde shadow. I always say try to avoid any hardline decisions during full moons, especially a super full moon conjuncting the planet of craziness and lightning, Uranus. Give yourself the space of a few days to a week and give others the same room, especially if there's children involved. Again, if you can, uh, if there's any life altering decisions, because emotions are super high and logic is out the window and on full moons. So that's why I say hardline decisions should be put off a little bit if you guys can. Excuse me. And then also, I don't know if I mentioned, you can listen to your sun, moon, and ascendant sign. It really does give you a much more clear picture of what's going on. Again, this was a short scope. I just wanted to make you aware of the energies involved. So I will leave it at that. I hope I have informed you, if not entertained you in some way. If so, do consider subscribing. It is free, or at least smash that like button. It helps me out a lot. Okay, Scorpio, I will talk to you guys in December, if not earlier, with other dedicated videos that I know I've promised. But for now, it is goodbye and good luck. I will talk to you soon. Oh, if you have any comments too, please note them below. I would be more than happy to answer them. Bye, Scorpio.